Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So, for decades, millions of Social Security beneficiaries have been unfairly punished and therefore have received reduced Social Security benefits by hundreds of dollars every single month. That is about to change. We're in the Senate. They have a bipartisan bill that has more than enough votes for this bill to pass and go to Joe Biden's desk to be signed into law. We are going to be covering that bill, which again would increase benefits by hundreds of dollars up to $700, possibly even $800 and above more in payments every single month for certain beneficiaries of Social Security. But before we go ahead and dive into that for today, if you would like to receive up to $18,000 in free stock or $18,000 in free cash, in a pinned comment below, I will be leaving a link to Webull. All you have to do is once you click on that link is just sign up for a free account and then simply deposit at least $100. At that point in time, Webull will be sending you 6 free stocks worth all the way up to $18,000. Okay, so once again, just a couple weeks ago, the House of Representatives passed a bill called the Social Security Fairness Act. And that in that bill, it would repeal both the windfall elimination provision as well as the government pension offset. Now, those two provisions alone were actually made all the way back in the 1980s whenever they had that big Social Security reform, because back then, just like 10 years from now, if they did not do anything at all, they would have to have massive cuts across the board because there was not enough money in the Social Security Trust Fund or enough money flowing into the trust fund to pay out everyone 100% of the benefits. That is what we're also dealing with right now. That deadline is coming up like 2032 or 2033, where once again they will have to either raise taxes or have a cut in benefits. Figure out a way to make sure that everyone is receiving 100% of the benefits. They will have to come up with some type of Social Security reform. So back in the 80s, what they did is they actually cut benefits for people who also received a pension. So if you work like a public sector job, like if you were a teacher, a police officer, or a firefighter, in that case, you're receiving a pension. So because you're receiving a pension, even if you also worked in the private sector before or after your career in the public sector, and you had enough credits to receive Social Security benefits, just because you're receiving that pension, they drastically are reducing your Social Security benefits. So like if you did not receive your pension, your Social Security payment would have been much higher in that same case, but because you're receiving the pension, they're reducing your Social Security benefit for you as well as like your widow or widower. So we're going to go ahead and dive into this article here. First, by Daily Comment, they ask, will Senate pass bill to end Social Security penalty for teachers, please, before time runs out? So time is running out for the Senate to give final passage to a bill that would end the Social Security penalty for public servants like teachers, firefighters, police, and their spouses. The Senate has just 12 workdays in December to pass the Social Security Fairness Act by Republican Louisiana Representative Gary Graves of Baton Rouge and Democratic Representative Abigail Spanberger of Virginia, that was approved by the House in November on a bipartisan vote of 327 to 75. The 1980s era windfall elimination penalty and government pension offset prevent about 2.8 million government retirees nationwide and 90,000 in Louisiana who earn pensions from those careers from collecting their full Social Security benefits earned while working outside of the government. Now, Republican Louisiana U.S. Senator Bill Cassidy took to the Senate floor late Monday to deliver a speech imploring Democratic Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer to schedule the bill for a vote before time runs out. So let's go ahead and watch this video here. Once again, Bill Cassidy pretty much begging Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer to put this bill on the floor for a vote. Let's go ahead and watch.
Madam President, before the Thanksgiving holiday, my colleagues, we voted late into the night. And I have no problem with that if we're voting on meaningful legislation. But that's not what we've been doing. We're voting on last-minute, lame duck, Biden-Harris judicial nominees. But we have serious legislation that will help millions of Americans that the House overwhelmingly passed in mid-November, sent it to the Senate, and it's waiting for a vote. And I'm speaking of the Social Security Fairness Act, which repeals the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset, are WEP and GPO. Now, this is something which affects my state in Louisiana, affects the president's state, the president of the Senate state, California. We're particularly affected, but so are others, Texas and Illinois, Massachusetts, Maine, New York, New Jersey, I could go down, both blue states and red states. And it recognizes first that Social Security is a sacred trust between generations, a promise to workers that when they retire, they will not live in poverty. But right now, Social Security's future is in danger. According to the people who run this program, if Social Security does nothing, the Social Security Trust Fund will be busted in 9 years, flat bankrupt. And then there will be an automatic 20 to 24% cut in benefits for everyone receiving social and for those who will receive it in the future. Someone once said, well, won't I be grandfathered in? And she was a female, so I said, I think you mean grandmothered in, but it doesn't matter. No, if you're already on social, you get a 24% cut. So, I will state here, we must save, strengthen, secure Social Security. And I'm pleased to say there's a plan to do so. But one thing what we cannot do as we work to save Social Security is perpetuate an unfairness, an injustice that began decades ago. This unfairness targets people who have dedicated their lives to serving communities and on a state or local level, such as first responders and teachers. So today, we can take a step towards that fairness. We can repeal two unfair Social Security provisions within the Social Security, with the Social Security Fairness Act, if the majority leader schedules a vote. WEP and GPO penalizes families, and I've already mentioned, particularly in states like Louisiana, California, Maine, Texas, who have worked a public service job for part of their career with a separate pension from Social Security. We're talking about first responders, the police officers, the firefighters, but also the teachers and other public employees who are being punished for serving their communities. How do we get here? WEP and GPO were introduced decades ago to address perceived inequalities in the Social Security system, but they've had the opposite effect of creating real, tangible inequalities. When my firefighters, police officers, and teachers in Louisiana have a second job or a second career or get married, they are being unfairly punished, receiving far less from Social Security than if they had never worked in public service at all. And that's not right. WEP reduces the earned Social Security benefits of individuals who also receive a pension from a non-Social Security covered job. This has resulted in thousands who have paid into the system during their career receiving a significantly reduced Social Security benefit when they retire. GPO reduces earned Social Security spousal or survivor benefits for individuals who also receive a government pension. This prevention can reduce or even eliminate the Social Security benefits that a spouse or widow might have expected and relied upon. Public servant spouses would receive more than if they had never worked at all. Let me repeat that. You have a teacher married to someone who's got a great job. He dies, and she doesn't receive but a fraction of the Social Security benefit that she would have received from her husband's Social Security benefit. As a guy who used to work in a hospital for the uninsured run by the state, I worked with lots of nurses, I consistently hear from the people I worked with and from constituents that they feel like they're being punished for serving community. And that's in Louisiana, but it's for public servants across the country who feel the exact same way. WEP and GPO affect Americans in every single state. And there is no excuse to treat our public servants this way. It should never become law, but we have an opportunity to fix it. In mid-November, the U.S. House of Representatives passed the Social Security Fairness Act. As a longtime original co-sponsor of the Senate version, I've been waiting to proudly vote yes and finally repeal WEP and GPO. Instead, day after day, Senate Democrats have focused their attention on ramming through partisan nominees rather than passing serious legislation. And if it sounds like I'm frustrated, I am. We owe it to every public servant who has taught our kids, protected our streets, run into a burning building, and more to pass this bill. The time for theater is through. It's time to get serious and vote on legislation that matters. I am ready to vote yes on the Social Security Fairness Act and repeal weapon GPO for people in Louisiana and for Americans across the country. So I call upon the Majority Leader to schedule a vote on the Social Security Fairness Act, and I urge colleagues to join in supporting.
So again, it's going to be coming down to Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Chuck Schumer only to put this bill on the floor for a vote. Will he do that or will he not? Right now at this point in time, his main focus has been ramming through federal judicial nominees that Biden is recommending. That has been his main focus because he knows that next year in 2025, Democrats will no longer have the majority in the Senate. And at that point, it's going to be Trump's picks for like the judicial nominees. So he wants to cram through as much of these left-wing judges as he possibly can instead of voting on different pieces of legislation. But I really think that he should vote on this. I mean, the House voted and they passed it with a wide bipartisan support. In the Senate, this bill has 63 co-sponsors. Republicans like it, Democrats like it. I think he should give it a chance, at least allow for it to go on the floor for a vote. But with that said, leave your thoughts and comments below. Would you like for this bill to pass? Are you a fan of it? Leave your thoughts and comments below. But that's all we have for today's video, and I will see you in the next one.